Hey, you're back. How are you? Oh my goodness. I did not even know. You should have told me you were coming. Hello. Oh, darling. Come on in. Come on. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. It's not right. It's too much. Start over. Sorry. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Walk Live. For all you who've been rocking with me since day one, you and you know I love you. It's all hearts over here. And for all you who are new, I am so thankful that you stopped by. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you like what you see and what you hear. And if you do, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, okay? And don't forget to hit the notification bell if you haven't. You don't want to miss an upload. See, I upload every Tuesday, okay? So you just got to make sure that you're in the know, okay? You don't want to miss anything. And what do I post on this channel? Different nuggets, different lessons that God has given me along my journey, and they've helped me chip away at some of the barriers in my path. And my hope is that they will help you as well. Did I say my name is Sakima? I don't think I did. My name is Sakima. So if you don't know me, hey, nice to meet you. All right, let's get into it. So, y'all, today we are talking about your positioning, assuming the position. Let me just say first before I start off, you guys, if you hear something in the background, and I hope it's not that loud, like as I sit here, it's not super loud, it's not overwhelmingly loud to where it's kind of drowning me out right now. It's, but it's got a little volume on it in the back. And what I'm talking about is in my daughter's room, there is, I have scriptures playing. So at night, when we sleep, there are scriptures playing. So it's just a voice like reading different scriptures like throughout the entire night. Because that's what I want to fill my home with. And I love it. It's calming and relaxing. And it just creates the atmosphere. Lets the enemy know what's up in here, because that's just what it is. So I don't know if it's loud. I don't know if you can hear it. But please forgive me if you can. I don't think it's super loud, or else I would have turned it off, because I don't want y'all to miss what I'm saying, okay? All right, so now we can get to it. So listen, as I said, we're talking about assuming the position, okay? And I want to start off with I'm trying to think if I want to start off with reading the scripture. I think I want to start off with reading the scripture first, so that we can know what we're working with here. And I've learned to put the puzzle pieces in order. I was just talking to my friend about this the other day, to my best friend about this the other day. Putting the pieces in order. A lot of times when we're experiencing some sort of chaos or something and we're getting overwhelmed, it's good to stop and put the pieces back in order. And what we need to know is we need to know the truth. A lot of times during the time of confusion, we have a lot of lies being told to us. The enemy wants to get us all discombobulated, and so we need to put truth back at the top where it's supposed to be, instead of all those things that seem to want to climb up there and take their place as top and head and running things. So what I want to do is read the scripture first before we begin. And y'all, the scripture I'm going to read right now is 1 Kings 18:16 through 39. I know that's a lot, but listen, it's a story. So you guys try to hang on. Hang in there. Slugger. So it says, so Obadiah went to meet Ahab and told him, and Ahab went to meet Elijah. When Ahab saw Elijah, Ahab said to him, "Are you the one who is bringing disaster on Israel?" Elijah said, "I have not brought disaster on Israel, but you and your father's household have, by abandoning and rejecting the commandments of the Lord, and by following Baals," which this is like the basically the enemy. Baal is represents the enemy, and Satan and all of that. Now then, send word and gather to me all Israel at Mount Carmel, together with the 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of the goddess Asherah, who eat at the queen Jezebel's table. He's basically telling them, gather all them people that's with you and Baal and Jezebel's people and all y'all who worship the bad stuff. Go ahead and gather them all up now, because we about to settle this right now. So Ahab sent word to all the Israelites and assembled the pagan prophets together, the bad prophets, the one that worship the bad folks, and assembled them together at Mount Carmel. Elijah approached all the people and said, "How long will you hesitate between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal, follow him." But the people of Israel did not answer him so much as a word. Then Elijah said to the people, "I alone remain a prophet of the Lord. It's just me, just me. With Baal's prophets are 450. It's 450 of y'all. Don't be afraid to be the one. And don't let it intimidate you that you're the only one out of your people, out of your crew, out of your whoever that is doing the right thing. All right, that's the side note. Got that? That's for free. Okay, you got to pay for the rest of it. Okay, no, you don't. No, you don't. So now, let them give us 2 oxen, and let them choose 1 ox for themselves, and cut it in pieces, and lay it on the wood, but put no fire under it. I will prepare the other ox and lay it on the wood, and I will not put fire under it. Then you call on the name of your God, little g, and I will call on the name of the Lord, and the God who answers by fire. He is God." And all the people answered, "It is well spoken." So they like, all right, cool. All right, cool. We call on our God, little g, little God, and you call on your God. We know, big G, we know. Elijah said to the prophets of Baal, "Choose 1 bull for yourselves and prepare it first, since there are many of you, and call on the name of your God, but put no fire under it." So here the idea was that the fire would come down and consume the offering, the bull or ox, whatever. And so they were not going to light it themselves. They were just basically going to let their gods answer for them, right? So they took the bull that was given to them and prepared it, and called on the name of Baal from morning until noon, saying, "Oh, Baal, hear and answer us." Baal. Baal. "Oh, Baal, hear and answer us." But there was no voice, and no one answered. And they leaped about their altar, which they had made. I mean, they probably was like, and Baal, you come and answer me right now. Like, enemy got you dancing, doing all kind of crazy stuff. You looking a plumb fool over there. I'm just saying, he ain't your friend. Don't act like it. Don't act like it. And they leaped about at the altar, which they had made. At noon, Elijah mocked them, saying, "Cry out with a loud voice, for he is God. Either he is occupied or he is out at the moment, or, he's on a journey. Perhaps he's asleep, he must be awakened, So just be a little louder. Maybe he's sleeping or something. He might be going somewhere out doing something right now. So he just can't hear you right now. Maybe that's what it is." Now, this is at noon. Now, he been waiting a while by this time. Like, I mean, can you imagine? You over there with your crew. They serve God. And you just waiting on these people over here. They serve Baal. And they over here leaping and jumping and calling and, trying to ask Baal to answer, and bring the fire down. And you sitting over here watching like, I mean, you really waiting. They cried out with a loud voice to get Baal's attention and cut themselves with swords and lances in accordance with their custom until the blood flowed out of them. I'm sorry, what? He got you shedding blood and everything, you cutting yourself? I want you to really pay attention to how the enemy be having you looking. I mean, really? You over here sacrificing, shedding blood for something that ain't even there, ain't even worth it, for nothing. The very life is flowing out of you, being sucked out of you for, what's that? Nothing. So as midday passed, they played the part of prophets and raved dramatically until the time for offering the evening sacrifice. But there was no voice. No one answered and no one paid attention. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. Then Elijah said to all the people, come near me. Come over here. So all the people approached him, and he repaired and rebuilt the old altar of the Lord that had been torn down by Jezebel. Then Elijah took 12 stones in accordance with the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, to whom the word of the Lord had come, saying, Israel shall be your name. So with the stones, Elijah built an altar in the name of the Lord. He made a trench around the altar, large enough to hold 2 measures of seed. Then he laid out the wood and cut the ox in pieces and laid it on the wood. And he said, fill your pitchers with water and pour it on the burnt offering and the wood. And he said, do it the second time. And they did it the second time. And he said, do it the third time. And they did it the third time. The water flowed around the altar, and he also filled the trench with water. Why are we doing this with all this water? Because, see, somebody might say, oh, it was just the wood was dry and the conditions of the air were so such that it just caught on fire. It just spontaneously combusted. It just was so dry up in there. That's what happened. That wasn't your God that answered. So I tell you what, we're going to squash all the confusion. Let's go ahead and drench this thing with water. Pour water all on the oxen and pour it on the wood too. Now, we know that if you're dealing with the fire, or at least I learned, I was watching this, that a good thing, if you can do it, is to wet the area around you so that if the fire begins to spread, it'll have a harder time, because it have to burn through the water and all that before it can start really getting dry enough to just start catching on fire. Or if you can be like have anything wet around you, like a wet rug or anything, because this kind of stops the fire. So here it is. Elijah's here is like, yeah, pour water on it. Just pour water on it, because we're going to make sure there's no mistake. Just pour water on it. This is mighty bold, because, you just watch somebody be embarrassed because their God did not answer them. And here you are like, wow, you pouring water on it? Like, okay, okay. But this shows that he had full faith in his God. He knew that his God was the God, Big G, and that he was going to answer him. And he was going to come through. So at the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice, Elijah the prophet approached the altar and said, O Lord, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known today that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and that I have done all these things at your word. Not me. This is you doing this, Lord. Answer me, O Lord. Answer me, so that this people may know that you, O Lord, are God, and that you have turned their hearts back to you. Then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt offering and the wood and even the stones and the dust. It also licked up the water in the trench. When all the people saw it, they fell face downward, and they said, the Lord, he is God. The Lord, he is God. I love that. What? Okay, so this is great because Here, Elijah has assumed his position. He knows going into this who he stands for, and he knows who is head of his life. He knows who is in charge. He knows where he stands. And so when he confronts the enemy, he already knows what he's going to do, how he's going to act, how he's going to conduct himself. He already knows. He doesn't have to act out. He doesn't have to do anything crazy. He doesn't have to get scared by the fact that they're over there, that it's 450 of them, and that they're over there doing all kind of crazy stuff, cutting themselves. I mean, some people might be like, darn, they might be a little legit over there. I mean, because who gonna cut themselves for nobody? Ain't nobody gonna cut themselves for nothing. See, Elijah didn't have to go through all of that over there because he had already assumed his position. Not being solid, and if you know me, you know I'm looking at my notes over here. Not being solid on who you are and who you want to be before you get out into the world will have you conforming in order to adapt instead of experiencing stability and all of the benefits of stability. I'll say that one more time. Not being solid on who you are and who you want to be before you get out into the world will have you conforming in order to adapt instead of experiencing stability and all of the benefits of stability. And I think that's what's happening with a lot of us. We have not decided who we want to be and what we belong to, what we stand for before we get out into the world. So we start approaching situations not having a plan in place. And therefore, we start getting sucked in by those situations. And we find ourselves on a roller coaster. Whatever the situation calls for, if it's craziness, we crazy now. If it's sadness, we sad now. If it's happiness, we happy now. Like, whatever the situation is, if there's doubt, we all of those things. And we don't want to be that because we want to experience the stability. You need stability in order to get things done, right? So if you have a goal in mind and you want to accomplish that goal, then you need the stability, right? You need stability. So you can't conform to every single thing you approach. You can't all of a sudden change and be another person. You guys go back and watch the other video, Chameleon. Is that what it's called? Y'all, I'll find it and I'll link it. But we can't change when we come before something. We have to know who we are before we approach the situation so that we can maintain our stability, right? So this is what we need to do. We need to ask ourselves these questions. Now, these are the questions that we need to ask ourselves before we get to the situation, before we approach the situation. So before we get out there and get in front of the people, and before we get in the situation, before we get around whatever the thing is, we need to ask ourselves these questions prior to, okay? What are my core values? So Bishop, my bishop, he is a leader and he loves to teach other leaders. And so we were gleaning from him, listening to him one day teach, and he was talking about, his core values. He was talking about that all the things that he touches, everything he gets involved in, everything he's connected to is also connected to one of his core values or all of his core values or some of his core values. Either way, it has to be connected in some way to the core values. Okay, so when you start putting your hands and getting connected to something that has nothing to do with the things that really matter in your life, that's what your core values are, the things that you really care about, the things that keep you going. Then you are doing yourself a disservice. You are wasting your time and probably the time of whoever else is involved. Okay, because it's not going to be something that's lasting. It's not going to be something that is sustainable. All right, so we need to know what our core values are. Who am I? Am I going to be okay in this situation? Am I lying to myself? I count that all as one question, y'all, because we need to understand that. A lot of us, we lie to ourselves and say, well, I know what it looks like over there. And I know that's probably, what usually the outcome is when somebody approaches a situation like this. But not for me. All I'm going to do is just do a little something right here, spend a little time right here, and a little something right here. Stop lying. Stop it. Now, if you're somebody who is insecure and is really still in the stage where you're learning yourself, if you get in a situation, for example, like Elijah was, where you're standing there waiting for the other side to get done doing what they're doing to prove their side, then you might get discouraged You might start getting fearful. It might start affecting the way you're thinking. It might start bringing doubts to what you believe in. So perhaps you need not to put yourself in that particular situation. And maybe you need to go about things a different way. But the bottom line is we need to know who we are. We need to not lie to ourselves. This ain't what this is. Only way that we're going to make any progress here is if we're honest. Okay? So if you need to figure this out before you get out there. Who am I? Okay? Who am I? Have I been thoughting? Okay, am I in heat right now? I need to figure this out before I get over here because, see, it's not going to be a good thing. I know I'm trying to be this type of person, but I've been this type of person in the past, so I'm still learning. I'm not quite there yet. So perhaps I shouldn't put myself in the situation. If I'm just, if I'm a recovering alcoholic and that it still be tempting me, it still be calling me, perhaps I don't need to go to a party where that's all we doing, getting lit. Like we getting lit, we drinking, drinks. You know the person's party you going to, that's all they do is drink. Matter of fact, that's the person that got you hooked on it in the first place. Like, let's make a different decision here, shall we? We shall. So you got to know yourself, okay? What is my current state? Okay, so maybe you're learning about yourself and all of that, and you figure, I am getting better. But today, I'm feeling a little vulnerable, a little weak. You got to consider that. You may be now in a better place with your alcohol or with your whatever your niche, your thing is, your addiction, your vice is. You may be in a situation where it's like, okay, I'm better off now, but that doesn't mean that you don't have your moments. So consider your current state before you get out there and think, okay, where am I? At this stage in my life, I'm vulnerable. There's been a lot going on. I'm just now getting to this place where I can stand up. I don't think that this is going to be a good time for me to do this or that. Okay? I know I'm better off, but right now, this week, today, whatever it might be, it's not good. I'm not in a good place. That's okay. And that's honest. And that's smart. Okay? So really evaluate your current state. Where are you going? Where are you going? You got to consider that, because that's your environment. That's what's going to help you figure out how you need to conduct yourself. You're making a plan about what's going to happen before you go there. So you need to figure out where you're going, where you about to go out, where you about to be exposed to out here. Who will be there? All right. Everybody has got, their own thing going on. Spirits attach themselves to people. People got different, energy and thing like that. Listen, you gotta figure that out. You gotta figure that out. Who is going to be there? Who am I going to encounter? We always say I'm a good driver. Yeah, but it's more drivers on the road other than yourself. If it was just you, then we wouldn't be worried about nothing. But we got other people out here. All right. So if this sort of type of person, and you are in this place, however, so-and-so is going to be at this place and they on another level, they on something else, you might need to consider, what you going to do. Because, you got a soft spot for that person. That's that one person that's able, out of all the people, that person over there is able to bring you to a place where you just be stepping outside of yourself. So it's very important to ask yourself, where am I going and who's going to be there? What do you want the result of this interaction to be? Is there anything you want to accomplish? So you know what you're going to this place for. But you think that's like obviously, we know it's an event I'm going to, or it's a situation, or it's somebody's house, or something, interview, whatever you're going to. Of course you know where you're going, right? Well, you'd be surprised how often we don't even think about that. What am I going here for? What am I going to accomplish here? Why am I going? A lot of times we do things based on our feelings. And if you're just doing things based on your feelings, you don't really have to think too much, about what you're trying to accomplish when you go here. You're just going because, this feeling, I feel like I want to go, But you're not thinking about the fact that but I want to maintain the fact that I've been sober for 3 years. And my goal is to have fun, but maintain my sobriety. That's the goal. My goal is to go here and celebrate so and so because she just graduated. That's what I want. See, what I don't want is to go here and sink into this unhealthy pattern or this unhealthy situation or revert back to the person I was and leave this one temporary event a whole other person with a whole new set of issues, or maybe I've taken on the old set of issues I had. That's what we don't want. So you really need to take some time to think about this, because it may be a possibility, depending on where you're going, that you could encounter this, that this could be your reality, that you could go and then find yourself in a compromising situation. Is that what you want? Well, so what do you want? I know you're like, man, you putting too much thought in this. I'm just going to the graduation party. Listen, it's real out here. The enemy does not stop just because you just trying to do something simple. Matter of fact, he's counting on you not being alert. He's counting on you not thinking about who it is you want to be, not deciding who it is you want to be and sticking to that, and making a plan to stick to that, and being proactive about sticking to that. He's counting on that. And so if you know yourself and you know how you've been in a vulnerable state, like, that's even more reason for you to sit and take stock of what's about to happen here, what you're about to go to. Especially if it's a situation that you haven't, I'm not a big partier. I'm not a big partier. Okay? I don't go on lots of dates and things like that. So these are situations that are not normal to my regular flow. And so it's going to take a little bit more thought for me, because I know that this is something that's different for me. And when you experience something different, sometimes it can be exciting. You don't want to get excited and forget where you at. And I know me. Okay. If I forgot where I was at before, and I'm about to be in this situation that's potentially exciting simply because it's something different than I'm been doing. This is breaking up the monotony in my life. Like, I'm excited just because of that. I'm a mom who gets to have a conversation with another adult instead of having one with a child. Like, I'm excited just because, you know what I'm saying? So if I know that this is something that is not normal, it's not within my normal routine, that's all the more reason for me to think about some things before I go. Just giving you some examples of why it would be good to start thinking about these things, and why it's so important, So you have got to decide what it is that you want out of your life. That's the big question. Because we don't want to keep being in recovery mode, okay? We don't want to keep revisiting things that we've visited so many times now. I mean, we've worn out our welcome at this point, folks. Okay, let's not do that. We want to accomplish some things. It brings us all the way down when we don't. Like, let's be honest. It feels so good to just let go and not have to think about things sometimes and just act on how you feel. Like, dang, like, I'm just trying to relax for once. But let's be all the way honest. Some of the things that you do, some of the choices you make whenever you're tired of thinking about things, when you're tired of reasoning, when you're tired of preparing like this, it takes you to a place where you didn't want to be. It may have felt good for that moment to let go and not be so careful or not plan, not be so proactive. But the results are not the results you're looking for. And we want to be results driven, right? We don't want to just go off of like YOLO, living in the moment. Let me tell you something. That's not what we want to do. And let me tell you, I'm going to show you why. So, Job chapter 14, verse 1 and 2 says, "Man who is born of a woman is short-lived and full of turmoil. Like a flower, he comes forth and withers. He also flees like a shadow and does not remain." What does that mean? He's basically telling you, you ain't got time to be out here just YOLOing. You don't got time. It is really interesting to me how we don't see the other side of that YOLO situation. Hey, you only live once. Exactly. Like I'm trying to understand how that means that we can be more reckless. I'm just trying to figure this out. Just help it make sense to me. You have one life, okay? And we're gonna make our mistakes. We are. But this is what I want to tell you. I'm y'all. I got a confession. I'll be watching the Cutlers. Y'all be watching Couples Court, whatever it is. Anyway, at the end they talk about not cheating yourself out of a certain quality of life, basically. And I'm saying the same thing. You want to spend so much of your time trying to make sure you enjoy your life. You may even think that if you serve God, you are not going to enjoy it. And honestly, you might not get to do the things that you want to do, depending on what it is that you're wanting to do. However, don't lie to yourself, because this would be a lie, and say that the Lord does not know how to help you enjoy your life. Okay? How much more does the Lord know how to give good gifts if we know how to give good gifts? I'm paraphrasing, but let me go to the scripture. So it's Matthew 7:11. "If you then, though you are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good gifts to those who ask him?" See, we don't want to stick around. We don't want to stick around long enough to ask him, to solicit that from him. We're trying to go out here and make it happen, YOLOing. And then we find ourselves low after the YOLO. Give God a chance. It won't be easy, but it'll certainly be worth it. How good did you feel the last time you denied yourself and you made the right decision? Although it was so hard to do it. When you woke up the next morning and you were not in a place where you needed to recover, you didn't have to go into recovery mode and be crying and weeping and all the things, but you thought, man, I did it. Did that not feel better than you being in a place where you felt like, oh man, I just can't do nothing right. I just mess up all the time. It felt better, didn't it? Of course it did. So give God a chance. And you've got to decide, what is your position? What is your position? What is it that you want? What is it you stand for? And those are questions you got to ask before you get out there. Now, when you get there, you might want to ask yourself, now all the planning I did, is this matching with my plans that I had before I got here? And why is it important to do that? Because nine times out of 10, if what's happening while you're there is not matching with all the plans you made before you got there, then the result that you planned to have is not going to match either. You're not going to get that result that you wanted. So you can go ahead and plan for the result to be different as well. Listen, I'm just trying to help somebody. I ain't saying nothing that I don't know. Okay? I went out there and tried it for you. Okay? All right. Just saying. Let's be honest. I hope that helps somebody. Listen. You know what I always say. My journey with God has been just that, a journey. All right? And it's one that I feel that I was called to share with you guys. And I'm so grateful that you guys would join me week in and week out on the walk live.